And we're live. Okay, welcome everybody. So this is for the watercolor, and you can see I'm in a different perspective given the different medium we're using. And feel free to chat away where you're tuning in from. I feel weird not showing my face right now because I usually do when painting, but this is a better view for watercolor. And I'm showing you my supplies that I'm going to be using. Even a Sharpie will work as well. And hi guys, I can still see the chat, but you can't see me. It's from Montreal, Oakville. Do we need pencil? Nah, you don't need a pencil and eraser. I just use, I mean, if you want to sketch it out, you can. And I actually just came back from the cottage today. So we're just waiting for people to tune in. I started a little bit early. Newmarket, Milton, and hopefully you guys can hear me very well. So this is what I'm going to be mostly using. This cake palette is what I'll be using here. And if you guys have something like this, these are water soluble crayons, those can work too. Hey Karen, hi Doreen. And I guess I'll show the original there. So we're going to be making something like that. Hey guys. So let me know what you guys think of watercolor after we do this. If it's something you'd want to do again. I mostly prefer acrylic, and watercolor is not something I normally paint with. Nice, Angela. That's a great idea. And Wendy, your paint is in tubes. That's fine. Completely fine. Yeah, if you haven't done watercolor before, don't worry. Don't be intimidated by it. It just might be a little less forgiving than acrylic, only because in acrylic you can easily go over it and you can change it up, whereas watercolor is not so much. Yeah. So hopefully this goes really well and it's relaxing and fun like the acrylic ones. Or maybe just as stressful as the acrylic ones that we do. Some of you might find it. We'll see. Let me know your feedback. Deborah. Hi, Deborah. I remember you. From Toronto, yay! So again, yeah, I'll go over the supplies again, but with choice of paper or canvas board, I would say canvas board is probably best. Paper, it will just, I don't think it works very well. It'll just start to crumble up and I don't think, it will just get a little warped, very warped actually on paper, unless it's watercolor paper. And what, that's a tough one. I'm not using a canvas unless, if you want to use a canvas, you might want to stick with acrylic or oils for this one, and it's not gonna, like, you're still gonna achieve the same kind of results, except these ones are a bit more watered down, as you can tell. Mixed media paper, yeah, I would say that should be okay. It might get a little bit warped, but it should still be okay. Yay, I'm so excited for this. Different angle painting, and hopefully it goes really well. So I'm going to move that to the side. So I'm going to show you my supplies again. This is a Sharpie that I have for stuff like if you want to do any accents on some of the details to bring it out a bit more, you can put it a little bit through the tree. And I'm just trying to, I just realized I wasn't showing it properly. So you can see I did that, or you can just use black watercolor paint, not as watered down. Put that to the side. For brushes, I am going to kind of pre-wet it first with this large, because it's important to wet your paper if you're using watercolor first. And then I'm going to start switching into these two brushes. This is like a regular size 8.5 by 11, maybe even a bit smaller. Oh, it says here. Yeah, it's like 22 centimeters by 30 centimeters. Okay, there's my stuff. And then I'm going to be mostly using this cake palette. These are optional as well, but you can combine. So I'll put those on the side. And I'm going to start, I think we're ready to start mixing some stuff. These are the ones I put, these crayons, these are water, here, let me show you the watercolor crayons. There we go. They're really fun. Okay. So first I like to get my little watercolor cakes ready. Dip my brush in the water. And I'm definitely going to be needing blue. So I'm going to pick some blue, put that on the side. And it's good to have it very nicely watered down. Same with green. Kind of scooping the water out. And I'm going to take my yellow, put that on the side. And with a little bit of orange and some red. Oh yeah, I forgot about purple. And yeah, I was just showing you, Kathy, the pencil crayons I have. They're on the side there. Those will work too. I didn't use it for the original, but they work. I think it will work well. Okay, so I'm moving this to the side, and I think we're gonna get started. First time for us doing watercolor events. Not what I would normally teach, but let's do it. So I'm gonna dip this in my water and just start pre-wetting. So there's a willow tree right here, and I'm putting my watermarks down in the direction that I want my willow tree to be in. See, I'm just going with my brush downwards. I feel like when you put your water on there, it'll just follow it down with the water the way it's flowing. And it might be, it's kind of important what you start with too. So the willow tree I'm going to start with first, and then I'm going to build from there. I'm not going to really work on the sky. I'm going to work around doing the sky later, and I'm going to do some strokes this way for the water. And this is just water on my brush. Over here is just, you can just kind of wet it anyway, because it's just a bunch of grass and shrubbery stuff. Over here, same thing. There's going to be, I'm going to just put some strokes randomly here because there's going to be grass and a tree. There we go. And if you didn't do at all what I just did, I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm starting with the willow tree. I'm just gonna peek. Hi guys. Starting with the willow tree, and I'm gonna take my green. So you can see the palette over here. Got some green to start, and maybe a little bit of blue because you know I kind of like bluey teal. And I'm just going to, and my brush is wet, so I just kind of pick up some water, nice and watery, just kind of flow it down. Do a couple strokes. And I'm going to pick up some yellow this time, because I want to get different greens in here. It's kind of like even just using acrylic on my canvas. I like to get different greens going. I'm going to pick up some blue, just plain blue. I'm not going to wash off my brush, I'm taking plain blue, and I'm just going to streak in some blue as well. So it gets like a bluey teal. And how far over? It depends on how big you want your willow tree to do, or to be as well. So I'm just going to do that, and maybe grab a little bit of yellow for a bit of a yellow highlight on the side here and on the other side, so it looks like got a little bit of a highlight. So that is part of my willow tree. Allison, it's still pretty damp on mine, but you're going to keep adding more water onto it. And yes, this is going to stay up for a few weeks. We've extended all of our videos because we hear that you guys want to view them a bit longer. Maybe you can't make it because it's summer, so yeah. So let me know, and you can give me thumbs up if you were able to do a willow tree. Very easy, right? And you can tell that my willow tree is not that big because I have lots of other stuff to do. So I'm going to compare. So there's the willow tree. And then we're going to, I like to start moving on to a bit of some water. And then I'm going to do some tree work. I'm going to do, basically the bridge is not going to be anytime soon. And then this is going to be one of the last things I do. Hi from New Brunswick. Welcome, Sandra. Okay. So, I don't know how many people are actually following along. Just give me that thumbs up, say you're done, because maybe you're working fast or maybe you're working slow. It's hard to tell in what pace. And Savannah, we just started the willow tree. Okay, so I got some thumbs up there. And like I said, you can watch this later, so no problem. And so one of the next things I'm going to work on is I'm going to still use my medium brush, and I've just washed it off of that paint, and I'm going to start going over this water area where I want the lake to be, or river. I'm going to take a little bit of blue. I'm going to really water that one down because I want it to appear a little bit lighter. So you just grab a lot more water with it, and you don't grab as much of that. If you're using the cake palette, you don't want to take too much of it. And I'm just going to, I'm just going to swipe it just very lightly. You want to start off a bit lighter. It's nice to do that. And also, I know where my bridge is going to be. It's about right here. So I don't want to go into that area. I kind of want to leave that more blank. You can always put more water later. It's watercolor. You can just, it easily fills it in, trust me. So I'm just kind of doing a little light fill in. And this is just like and the light blue is really just watered down blue. It's just less of my cake palette that I took and just more watered down. So it appears very, very light. And the reason I did that is because I'm going to be putting some more colors like purple and maybe a bit of green because of the reflection of the tree and the other tree over here and some of the flowers. There's gonna be some purple in here, but it's gonna be nice and colorful. And also, if you're working on a canvas and doing with oils or acrylics, this might take you a lot longer to do, by the way. And don't panic if you're behind. So after that, one thing that I do as well, now it's important to start with light colors because, you know, with watercolor, like I said, it's less forgiving. Over here, I'm not doing the sky because there's going to be, there's like a gap. There's going to be sky here, and then there's a tree here that I showed you in the original. And it's going to have some lighter yellows to start. Yellowy, almost maybe a bit of green into it, but if you get green into it, that's fine. Just watering down my yellow, and I'm just going to blob. I want my tree. This is like making the branches without the actual tree trunk and branches yet. You're going to do that afterwards. So I just take yellow, water, and just spread it around. Just take more water and just kind of spread it, clump it around. I like it blotchy because first of all it mimics that tree leaf look. And you can bring it down also to the bottom. It's almost like it represents a bit of sunlight too. So yellow is doing a 2-in-1 kind of deal. It's doing part of my tree leaves to begin with, and then also some sunlight in the background. And Jerry from Pakistan, yes. Yes, Emily, it's pretty important if you want to do watercolors. You don't want to put it on you don't want to put on regular paper. I've tried it too, just to see how well it works. It's really difficult to work with sometimes. So give me thumbs up if you are done doing that so far, if you're doing the watercolor with me. Or maybe you're just tuning in to see how it's done. And yep, I can show you the reference again. Here we go. Yeah, if you can't, I know, you can't rewind. You're gonna have to wait till afterwards. Sometimes you can. It depends on what device we're using. You can rewind, but okay, got some thumbs up. Great, thanks guys. So I've washed this off again. My same brush. Oh, I think some people are still working away. I can actually show you a couple of cool things while we were just waiting just another minute. You can, if you have these crayons, maybe you'll want to go buy them because they're pretty cool. And when it's a bit dry, see how you can just lightly color and just make in the water here. You can just make like little water lines. Just like color it in. But you have to wait for it to pretty much dry first, and this was drying pretty fast. Oh, Amy, I'm sorry to hear. Yep, you can watch it later if your connection's not that great. Also with the crayons, you don't just color and just leave it. You usually just spread it with some water and it makes it look more like what we were just doing. So it activates that color that you just put down with crayons. Okay, anyways, I think we're ready to do some more leaves for the tree. These crayons are called, just looking at it, I'll show you again. They're watercolor crayons, basically is what it looks like it's called, but it's called, I think the brand is Gallery. So I got those actually from Curry's. And yeah, I'm glad. I know that a lot of us actually have watercolors sitting at home but never actually use them. So it's a good way to see if this is something you'd be interested in doing. Like I said, give me feedback after if this is what you would like to do again. So I'm just mixing over here. You can see it's kind of like a green color. And yeah, it is mirrored, but I can't fix it right now, sorry. This green color, I'm just going to take some of that and start, again, just lightly tapping, because you can see it starts spreading a lot, because especially if it's still wet in that yellow area, you don't want to go crazy. Just tapping away, mostly at the top here, because this is where I want a lot of my green leaves to be for where I put my tree. And if you think it's too dark, you can just add a bit of yellow to it, and it makes it a lot lighter. And it also makes a different green. And even when I make this again, you'll notice there's a lot of differences in the way it comes out. And also I'm going to get some green down here. This is where I want my, now that I have it, this is where my grass is going to be. So you'll see for reference, right over here. It's going to get a lot darker, but I'm starting off with some lighter. And I'm putting some in the water. So I'm going to swipe it in there. So I want some of that reflecting into my water. Yep, Allison, I did wet it first. Deborah, you were the one who convinced me to get them. And yes, the Neocolor, there's crayons that are the Neocolor brand. Those are ultra expensive, like ultra expensive. If you're really into watercolors and you want to keep going at it as like a real hobby, I would, yeah, invest in those. They're really, really good. But they're 4 times the price. All right, so move that just in case anybody needs to see the willow tree. And let me know where you guys are at. We're making some progress here. And I'm really excited to see the results too for our first watercolor event. Okay, got some thumbs up. Great. And Jennifer, the size. You know, I wish I knew the exact sizes because it's been so long since I bought them. But I would say this is about a 6. I think a 6. Size 6. And it's round. This one only took me, it didn't take that long. I would say like 30 minutes. And you can also see the size of the paper. It probably took me 30 minutes because, and if doing like the little details afterwards. And Savannah, yes, if you want to do more, that's why I'm asking. If you want to do more, just say you want to do more watercolor events so we can get those going. A flat brush. Well, a flat brush can work too, to be honest. But for doing the tree work that I was doing, I like the more rounder ones. Oops. Yay, Deborah. Let me know how it goes when you do it. Okay, so I think we're ready to move on. And now, so we were just building on that tree. Now, very next thing, and I tried not to do too much at once, I'm taking just a little bit more, just plain blue, and I'm just lightly, again, I'm just going to tap a little bit concentrated more into the middle here, like near the edge of my paper for where the edge of the tree is, because I want the tree mostly to be peeking out on the side. So, and it's just like, it just adds another extra little pop of color, because now you have all the greens and you have like some more bluey teals in there. So I just did that, and there. It's like, it's going to be really nice. There. And I'm also in the, I'm just building down here on my island, my little, on the opposite side of the bridge, my little grass area. I'm going to start doing, and I'm going to just start tapping along here, maybe get some in the water a bit, building on the color. With this is just plain blue. If it happens to be touching some green too, that's okay, because with watercolor, it's great. It mixes very well. Even if it makes brownie colors, it still looks really good. And again, that was just a little swiping in the water because my little dabby grass area is here, and then this is just it reflecting into the water. Yes, watercolor would be, it's different for us to do. And hopefully this gets people wanting to do watercolors. So I'm going to let this up here dry. Don't keep touching it. The more you keep touching things, the more it becomes one solid color for sure. It just all blends together. You kind of want to leave things alone. And there's accents that I do afterwards. You can use crayons or a Sharpie if you want to accent certain things. And I haven't even made the tree yet. And the tree is going to look really good against what we just did with the leaves. Okay, so good. More watercolors, what I'm getting from your comments. Great. And so that was like a quick little thing. So before I come back to here, I want to wait for this to dry. I'm going to do my brown tree, And then I'm going to build more with a couple more pieces of grass. And now I'm going to go and jump over to this side. Okay, so this side of my canvas, right below the willow tree, I'm going to start blending things in here to make it look like there's more shrubbery, grass area before we go into the bridge and then the wonderful cherry blossom tree. So I'll show you this for reference again. And we haven't done all the colors in the water. Just wait till we do our grass patch. You can see the different colors, different greens again, like we did over here. And don't worry about the accent colors, that's afterwards. It's gonna look very flat, like kind of dull until we put some more accents, but reds, yellows, purples to represent like flowers maybe, or little cherry blossom bushes or something. Okay, first I'm gonna start with some green again, because you know we've been using that a lot. And with watercolor, I mean honestly, oop, I almost dropped that. I like to start, again, lighter, but it's okay if your colors are touching some other colors. I'm just adding a bit more yellow to it because I want to start off a bit lighter with my green, and I definitely want to overlap my willow tree just a little bit so that it looks like it's not just ending and then there's nothing there. And I'm just kind of outlining a bit where I want this island patch to be. And you can see I'm just like lots of tapping away. And I'm starting off with a little bit of a lighter green, more lime looking. So that's more yellow and just a touch of green if you have green, or just a touch of blue, but very little blue if you're just mixing with all primaries. Tapping away, making some, and I'm gonna leave this little area for some colors of like reds, purples, and oranges for flowers. And just gonna put a bit more here. So we're gonna switch up the green. Oh, Stephanie, thank you. Sandra, okay, so my my phone's right above me. So hopefully, hopefully everybody else can hear me really well. And I'm just going to add a bit more blue to this to make it a bit darker because I'm building on it. I don't see why you can't use pastels. And see how I'm just adding a bit more, I added a bit more blue, it got a little bit darker. Now I'm just starting to make like what looks like grass over top, just kind of moving my brush lightly to represent some little pieces of grass. And I'm just going to blotch some on here on the edge, little patches of it. And how do stars work? It's a Facebook thing. You just have to, if you want to send them, you have to like buy it through Facebook, I think. They're just to help creators out mostly. They pick select pages to support, like usually creators, for stuff like this. So you just have to go to send stars and then they just kind of prompt you from there. I'm grabbing some more yellow. I haven't even washed it off. I'm just taking plain yellow. It looks a little bit light green again. I'm just kind of filling in. You can more concentrated, it gets a bit darker, so that's just a little bit less water, and you can see it's a bit more, looks a bit darker and more concentrated. Linda, when you say quality of paints, like where did you get your paints? Are you talking about watercolors? I don't think it matters too much. Just let me know what paints you're using. So I left this little area for, I'm just going to put some yellow here for mostly flowers. Nice bright yellow. So honestly, my paints are not, my watercolors are not the best of the brand, and they seem to be doing fine. I think it does matter because certain brands have a lot more selection of paints. Mine are very basic, as you can see over here. The palette is very basic. When you start having different colors to choose from, you can get a lot more colors to mix. And I do suggest just trying with the basics, and then you can always build from there. Especially if you want to invest in stuff like this, you can build and oversaturate your drawings. It makes it more saturated looking. You use Mozart. What am I using? Oh, I don't want to turn it because it'll just make a mess. Okay, guys, give me thumbs up if you have done this sort of area. It's very like patchy, and you can see I did a couple flicks just to represent some grass for now, but I haven't done too much yet. Thanks, Gail, for the word thumbs up. Okay, I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. Great. Good, good, good. Bambi, yay! Thank you. Okay. So yeah, if going back to watercolors, if you want to invest more in watercolors, having just the basic palette, there's only so much you can do with it. But I really like these crayons. I'm going to show you more with them. Yep, Desairs is a really good store. I like that store. I got mine from Curry's, and same with the crayons because I'm really close to Curry's. Okay, so I'm just kind of, don't want to touch too much. This feels pretty good. I'm going to now switch to this brush here. So you can see it's a bit smaller and more pointier. I'm going to dip that in the water. And I actually have a brown. And if you don't have brown, it's pretty easy to make brown. You just mix, it's literally mixing all your colors together. And Lynn, yep, that works. I would have probably done the same. I like acrylic paints, like my go-to. So some brown. And first I'm going to start with just like lightly press. Just let it flow. If it happens to like spread a bit, that's okay. And sorry, I'm left-handed, guys. Like, I can't help it. I can't move my hands so you can really see, but I'm just starting with a basic shape here for the trunk. And Penny, yes, this is true. You can get points. So you can see, even if you don't fill in everything in your tree, you can fill it in with other like colors. It's just, I like to like let it flow and then come back to it later. And I'm just lightly, there's another branch. See, I'm just like making basically a couple tree branches. And I like to make them very flowy. I lightly press, by the way. And I try not to go over it too many times. So anything that you want to, you can press, like the lighter you press to with like less of the paint and more water. See, I'm running out of some paint. It just looks more faded in the distance kind of branches. So I know that it sounds a little bit weird, but I actually put some brown in the grass around it. So that is my tree to start. And then I take a little bit of black with my brown so I get a bit darker. Just mix that with some brown that you already had. It gets nice and dark. And I'm just going to put a little bit as an accent through mostly the trunk and through the top of the tree, not too much, not all the branches. And since it was wet before, I kind of just filled most of it in without me having to do much. Diane, so do I do easy, advanced, and intermediate water paints? I mean, I mostly do acrylics, so I would say that this is my first one, and I would say this is easy. So I just washed off my brush after that, because I don't really want black sitting on my brush. And let me know how the tree goes, guys. Okay, good. Got some thumbs up there. Oh, Liliana. I'm sorry to hear that it's not going so well. But you know what? If you're working on a small piece of paper, maybe the first time is just a good practice, and then the next time you can do it a lot easier. Okay, so if your colors, I get what you're saying. Just leave it. Don't keep touching it. That's the last thing you want to do. Let it dry, and then this is why I showed you this Sharpie. If you want to be making it with a Sharpie when it's completely dry, or if you have those crayons, you can use these crayons and then just activate it with some water so that it's, you know, more controlled. Those look pretty cool, Sarah. Nice. Okay, so after that tree, I'm going to go back and do my bluey mixed, like blue greens, blue mixed with some green, because I want it more teal. And I'm just going to clump this on now for sure at the bottom. Start doing little grass strokes. And maybe add a little bit of black to it. I just wanted it to get a bit darker, more shadowed near the bottom where this island is. And just putting that into the water a bit too for a bit of a shadow and reflection. Oh, okay. Are we back? Sorry guys, I think we're back. Yeah, for some reason my internet just like cut out it just cut out. Sorry, this is the thing with virtual. So for the tree, I added a touch of black to, I'm just gonna actually try to fix my, can I fix it? I don't know how to. for the tree, I just used my smaller brush and I added a bit of black. And I mixed it with some brown to lightly go over that outline just for a bit of an accent. And I put too much black there, so I'm just gonna let that be. But that's what happens if it's too wet. And this is why we try not to touch it over and over again. And hopefully you guys heard that. What else should I go over? Is it the grass patch as well? Because I think there was a connection issue for a bit. I think there is still some. Okay, I'm gonna try and fix it really quick. Hold on. And hopefully there's no more issues. And for the grass patch, just to go over it again, a touch of black added to your bluey green, and it just kind of darkens it up a bit more. You have to be careful. If it's like really wet, it'll just spread to wherever it's really, you know, where there's a lot of water. And whoop, got some angry faces. Yeah, you can try that, Sharon. Why not? So when I was showing you guys the black again on here, you can try to absorb some of it with a paper towel. Nope, it's there forever, okay. I know the video stopped, and then I tried showing you the black again, or the black with the brown, and then I just accidentally blobbed some black there. So that happens if you have too much water, and then that happens. Yeah, that's there forever. Thanks. Okay guys, how are we doing? We had some interruptions, but I fixed my internet, so it shouldn't be, you know. Oh yeah, a nest. Thank you, Liz. Shouldn't be an issue anymore. If there's no video, just refresh it because I can see that it's working right now. I could do that. That's going to be difficult because it's just black. It's hard to change it. No, guys, the blob's not supposed to be there. It was an accident going back to a previous step. Okay, so moving on, we're going to ignore the blob. Now we're going to come back over on this side. Okay. And mine's pretty dry, so I'm going to, again, I'm just going to take some, just mostly like some darker greens, like blues added to it, and just get some little grass strokes going. This is dry, so it doesn't spread as much. You won't get those blobs. If it's really wet, it will just spread to wherever the water is. And I'm just making like little patches. It's like you're just kind of faking it. You're making what looks like little patches. And this is just mostly blue with some green again, so it's nice and dark. And not too much water so that it doesn't get too clumpy. Sometimes I just like to just go up and down really fast, and it just makes really fun lines for the grass. And also, while we were doing this, I like to put a little bit into my water for, again, some shadowing, reflections, more color, because we started with that very light blue. And I'm just putting some in the water, going back and forth. Just a little bit of, again, a little bit of water on my brush and not a whole lot. This is where my like acrylic technique comes in, because I like to do more of these strokes. And to introduce a new color, that purple, start with it a lot, like a lot of it watered down. And just take more water and kind of spread it around so you get like a purple bit of color in your water. You can go over the blue too, it kind of blends with it too while it's still wet. Oop, that was not purple. So I'm just putting, again, some purple. I think it's a nice color. There's not too much purple in the painting, but I really like it. It's mostly purple. I put flowers here on the side just to justify the purple. And hopefully that was a nice change of color so far. We're going to be adding some more. Marion, you swear it's my favorite color, but it's not. And okay, so yeah, those crayons on the right, they're just watercolor crayons, and you can buy them. There's different brands. They have like, you know, different quality, but these are the more cheaper ones, and they still work pretty well. You just color and then you activate it with water. And I'm going to show you guys some more of this because I want it to dry a bit more, so I can show you at the end after all of this when we can accent our artwork with some more of these colors if you want, or just if you have a Sharpie, with a Sharpie. So I think that was really quick. I'm going to go back in here, and now we're going to just add lots more fun colors. Let's start with orange because it's going to build up into the red when we do that nice cherry blossom. So the red, the orange, I'm just clumping it to represent some patches of flowers. Very clumpy technique again. The more water, the more lighter it's going to look and faded. If you add some yellow to it, you can if you want to make it lighter. And then, like I said, we're going to build up into some red now. So it's taking a little bit of red, putting that on my palette, just watering it down. And the good thing is like you can blend it with your orange too, because it makes nice colors. I'm going to add some purple later for the flowers. Like I said, I did add some. So I'm just going to leave some spots a little bit empty, but I'm just going to kind of fill in some of these over here at this spot. Yep, you're right, Marion. The brand, oh, for the, it's just a Gallery. It's called, I think it's just Gallery brand. But there's another brand called Color, and it's super good. It's nice. Works really well. Okay. Let me know if we're ready for this nice cherry blossom tree kind of branch folded over. Give me that thumbs up. We're getting there. It's looking like something, right? Okay. Good. All right, so I'm going to switch back to my medium. This guy. It's clean, it's rinsed off, and I'm just going to take red and just put it on the side and just water it down. Here we go. So this tree, I want it to start right about here. And I'm just going to kind of have it stretch about right over here. So I'll show you the picture again. And I'm just going to take some water. I'm just going to like, the more water you put in, the less red looking it's going to be. So I'm just kind of trying to tone it down a little bit. And I'm just clumping it on, dabbing away. And I want this to be a bit more kind of like bushy in a way at the, right around here, around the willow tree. And a little bit, it's like kind of around the grassy patch, hiding a bit of the bridge, so it's okay. Erin, no, I didn't. I'm just watering it down, just clumping it on. You can do that though if you want to just water it down again. But I'm just starting with that line, and all I'm doing is just kind of branching it out in a way. I haven't made the branches, but I'm just trying to visualize some of it, trying to branch out a little bit more. If you do water it down first, that's fine, because when you put the red on, it'll just spread to everything you watered it, wherever you water it with some of your watered brush. Yeah, just refresh it if your video stopped. So you can always add more later, but I think this is a pretty good start. You can see it represents like a branch. It's just very clumpy and it just kind of thins out on the end. And since we still have the red, I'm going to put a little bit of red in the water because it would be reflecting in there. Yes, a little bit. Yeah, yeah, sorry if the video is stopping for you guys. I mean, I have two devices. I can see on my other device it's not stopping, but I was having issues before. I don't know. We can always go back and watch it again. Okay. Where are we at? The next thing I wanted to do, when you guys give me thumbs up, is add in some purple while this is drying a bit, because I want to add the nice branch going through it. So you see that nice dark branch. I accented it with a Sharpie or some crayons afterwards, but it has like a nice little sort of branch going through it. You don't want to do it while it's still very wet, because then it will end up like this nest. We've learned not to do this. So I'm going to grab my purple. Just water that down again, get it going again. No, Sarah, I don't. I made sure not to do that. It's just, today is just the connection, I guess, which it normally doesn't do, because I know a lot of you joined me before. Okay, so this is just purple. And I'm just adding some purple, you know, flowers, dabbing it on. And if you really like purple, you can add more purple. I like to just randomly kind of clump it. So it looks like now we have different colors of flowers. Oh, okay. Yes, if you, well, depends on where everybody is tuning in from. I know there's a lot of people tuning in from all over the place. And if you need to go back and add some more, just to bring out a bit more of some like red, you can. Okay. So maybe you guys finished the flowers. Are we getting there? Almost there. I actually go back to this smaller brush And I'm sad that I can't, it's kind of weird because you just see a piece of paper and just a voice talking. It's not like I can pop in and say, hi. I'm back to my smaller brush and I'm taking brown. So brown, and it's going to be a little bit wet still. I'm okay with it because that was like how I made it. And it might spread a bit, which is fine. And I'm just kind of like the other tree that I did. Maybe you've learned from that one to like wait for it to dry a bit more. Just do a couple branches coming out. Maybe another little one here. So I'm going to accent that afterwards with some black with my Sharpie. And hopefully that worked well for you guys this time around, learning from the first tree. And yes, if it has a lot of water still on it, it will just spread throughout. So one of the next things that I do before I get to the bridge is I just do a little bit of some more water in here because I haven't really filled that in. And you can do that with some green, right? Some green on the same, I'm using the same small brush, and I'm just kind of filling that in, and mostly just blue because I want my water to look a bit more on the blue side. So I'm just trying to make sure, if it's already filled in, you don't need to do anything like this. So now it looks more colorful because it has the purple, the red, some green, and some teal, like blue, because it mixed with the green and then just blue. And this is where I start the bridge. So it's going to be, again, with the smaller brush. And once you do the bridge, it's set in stone. It's not acrylic, like I said. Kind of like that bird's nest. Once you put it down, it's there. Jocelyn, yay, thank you. So let me know when you guys are ready. Maybe if you want to sketch it out first. Don't be afraid. It's honestly not that big of a deal if you don't get too worked up about it. All right, getting some thumbs up. So I think we're pretty pumped for it. Okay, so for the color, I'm just going to bring this back. Sans bird nests, as you see. So the bridge, I mostly did in blue, and it does have a little bit of like brown kind of tinge, and I tried to make it look like it was like where people step. It's kind of, you know, one of those things. And then also there's some black in there, and it looks very like, I don't know, earthy tones, kind of dingy. I don't want it perfectly blue. I want some of that darkness in there. So when we do this, try not to, you know, freak out about the color. And okay, good. You guys are ready. So I'm going to take blue. Okay, wait, I don't want too much green on this, so I'm just going to try and move this to another spot. I'm going to start with blue because I want to start off lighter. You can always go darker. Here is the bottom. Whoop, there we go. I'm committing to it, and I'm just going to, it is thicker. It's not that thin. I'm just going to make it a bit thicker. So just a bit more water. Thanks, Savannah, for pointing that out. Okay, that's the bottom, and then I'm just going to do the top. I want it to be right about here. And I am going to go into this previous tree, this little cherry blossom. I want to make it look like it's kind of going in there and then sort of blocked off because of the tree hiding it. That was actually not too bad. I think my brush was really good to me today. Now, if you don't have to do this. I just took very watered down, like brownish yellow for a little, maybe not that dark, maybe a bit more yellow. Just like a bit of, like you can see the pathway that you can, for the wood on the bridge. You don't have to do this. Savannah, just refresh the page. I don't, on my computer it's not frozen. I'm keeping tabs on my computer so I can see when it actually does. But I've noticed that a lot of people are finding that connection is an issue with live events on Facebook. Oh, that's good. All right, so I did the bottom and the top. Now, there is a middle one. Blue again. Right in the middle. Whoop. There's that other line here. And, you know, you got to keep doing this as it's wet. I just connect the lines and keep them all straight. So as you are going up, when you're working your way, don't change the angle that you're doing your strokes. And I'm sitting down, so I'm trying really hard to make sure this is straight. But I'm sure if somebody will point it out if it's not. Because some of us have some of that OCD. Especially when we're doing our own artwork. I get that myself. Okay, so it's not perfect, which, you know, it was never supposed to be, because that's like the beauty of watercolor. It's not supposed to be too perfect. It's supposed to be nice and whatever. There. You can, Lori, I think you can just, there should be a refresh, maybe just kind of come in and out of your cell phone for your Facebook tab, or just click on our artist palette Durham region name again, and then it will refresh it. So I did that, and it's still wet, which this is where the next part comes in. It's actually a bit of that black that I added to the blue. So it's just a little bit of black, and you have to be careful. You don't want like a ton of water, but I just kind of streak it in while it's still wet, because it picks it up and it kind of spreads, and it just takes it, it makes it look like it has a bit more depth. Takes it to the next level. And you want to mostly put that on, like usually if when you're starting with the bottom, mostly on the bottom part of that line. Although it's just going to spread, but it just spreads nicely. It just kind of does its thing. Thanks, Kim. I'm glad you like it. So, once we're done that, basically, what I do is I go back to my more medium brush, and you can just dab with, after you wash it off, you can dab some water right in the empty spaces, because I don't think you want too much empty spaces. You can dab it. Now you have to be careful, like I said, dab it around, like you can overlap some spots, yes, especially in the bridge gaps. You can put a couple little dots here to kind of do a little fill of what's going to be the rest of your sky. If it looks like it's done already, don't do this step. It's just a little, very little blue for the sky. And like I said, you just want to water it down a bunch. You don't want it like here. Let's spread that around. Just kind of fills in the gaps. A little hint of color, nothing just plain white. Very little blue. See how it's mostly watered down? It just fills in the rest of the spots. You don't have to get in the bridge gaps, but I get little bits, so it doesn't look like the bridge doesn't have those gaps. You can see through them. I kind of want to just fill them a little bit. And even around the tree. And anything under the bridge that you didn't do. Very light. And that should be it. I mean, before I show you how to do the Sharpie. Yay, Linda, I'm so glad. Yeah, for those who are rewatching, you probably won't have any issues with connection until you get to the part where my connection just randomly cut out for a minute or so. Okay, So for those who want to, honestly, like I'm just going to bring this up again. It just makes it pop out a lot more. When you look at this one, it's got a bit more accents because of my Sharpie that I did, the Sharpie work, or if you want to switch to the watercolor crayons as my other one, because I took my Sharpie, wait, not that side. And I'm just making sure my connection is still good. Okay, looks like we're back. I was just seeing. Okay, we're almost done. Obviously the internet is not cooperating today, so we're just going to try and finish this really fast. We have everything done, but with the Sharpie, last little thing you can do is just go over when it's dry and just accent. You don't want to do it while it's wet, because then first of all, you won't see it and it will ruin your Sharpie if you care about that. So just see how I just kind of accent things. Just pops it out more. Same with anything in the bridge that you want to accent, like some shadowing on the like the bottom parts of some of your bridge lines. Also making grass. And anything in the tree area. Maybe some in the water. And this is again just with the black Sharpie, or maybe you want to switch to like acrylic paint because you don't have a Sharpie. Sorry, Savannah. There's nothing I can do about that. It's just, you know, my internet's not cooperating today. Clearly. And yeah, if you don't have a Sharpie, just use, if you want to just use more when it's dry, you can just take black and like less water and just go over it, and it will do the same thing pretty much. So that's for the Sharpie, and you can just, again, some grass, just accent some parts like that. Really fun. And the last little thing too, for these watercolor crayons, I just take, this is like just blue. You can accent, accent some spots for your willow tree. Blue, maybe some other greens. Maybe some lines for the grass, just kind of color it in a bit. Just saturate a bit more if you want to. So those are with those watercolor crayons. And I'm just taking different, and you can decide for yourself if this is something you want to add. And I'm trying not to overdo this, but it can be addicting to just keep going. Maybe just some more red in the leaves. And again, since this is watercolor, you can take your brush activate it and just, it makes it more saturated. Also the Sharpie for the tree, you can do that too. All right, so that should be it, guys. Great, more watercolor painting. And who's the angry person? Thanks for joining. I'm glad it was fun for you guys, and hopefully not as frustrating when there was some internet issues, but for until next time, it should be better for internet. Glad that you enjoyed the watercolor. What point does the sky become the water? That is up to you. I mean, it's wherever you want your horizon to be. It can be up higher, it can be up down lower. But either way, I fill it with a light blue. Okay, thank you everyone. And this will be up for a few weeks. Sorry about the internet issues, but I'm glad that you found it very forgiving, Erin. That's great. Yay, date night. Great, okay. Thanks, guys. And now you can rewatch.